All right, so today we're going deep into Heian Japan. And this is a period I think a lot of people think they know something about, right?
Yeah.
You know, I've got the cherry blossoms and
Of course.
the beautiful robes and all that, but I think there's a lot more to it
I think there is a lot more to it.
than a lot of people realize.
A
So
lot going on under the surface.
that's what we're going to do today.
Absolutely.
So this is like 794 AD onwards. The capital's moved to Heian, which is modern Kyoto.
That's right.
And it's a time of huge changes in Japanese society.
Huge changes.
And I think what's really interesting, but you get these powerful lords, right?
Yes,
who kind of start controlling vast chunks of land.
That's right.
It's almost like these mini kingdoms
Within
Japan itself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you've got this like incredible cultural blossoming happening at the imperial court.
Yeah.
So we've got these two kind of seemingly contradictory trends.
It's fascinating. Yeah, and they're all kind of intertwined.
Yeah, happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So let's break it down and let's start with these lords.
Okay.
So we're talking about the Shuan system, right?
The Shuan system,
Can you kind of explain to us what was that all about?
The Shuan system, it basically means like a private estate.
Okay.
And you've got these lords.
And these were?
Often they're from the Fujiwara clan.
Okay.
So you've got the Yamato clan, which is the imperial family. And then the Fujiwara were kind of like this powerful aristocratic family.
Okay,
and
so they were kind of like
they were kind of power behind the throne.
Yeah, they wielded a lot of influence and they really started to amass these large estates.
So how much power did these lords actually have?
They had a lot of power.
Like, what could they do? So within their estates, they could levy taxes. They could raise their own armies.
Wow.
They could even dispense justice. Like, they had their own court.
So they were basically a law unto themselves.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's almost like a mini kingdom.
And they just answered to the emperor, and that was it.
In theory, they answered to the emperor.
In theory.
But in reality, they had a huge amount of autonomy.
Okay, so that kind of blows my mind a little bit because, you know, we think of the Heian period. We think of like the beautiful...
The refinement, the art.
The art, the poetry, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, you've got these guys who are like...
Yeah, these warlords.
Yeah, you've got these lords who are...
running around.
Yeah, consolidating power.
So was there ever any kind of friction?
Yes.
Between those two worlds? Did the emperor, I think in a way...
Ever try to kind of rein these guys in?
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why the court retreated into this world of art and culture.
Really?
Yeah. So as the emperor's power was kind of waning in a practical sense, they're trying to maintain prestige through cultural achievements.
Okay.
So it's almost like...
Interesting.
Yeah, they're kind of compensating for their loss of real political and military power.
So that's... So they're kind of retreating into this...
It's almost like a retreat.
Bubble of beauty and art.
Yeah, into a world of,
you
know, exquisite calligraphy and...
While the rest of the country is kind of...
Meanwhile, you've got these...
Going in a different direction.
Lords out in the provinces who are consolidating their power and...
And was that cultural blossoming?
Yeah.
I mean, was that just about escapism, or did that have...
I don't think it was just escapism.
Kind of a lasting impact on Japan?
No, I think it had a huge impact on Japan.
In what way?
So this is when we see the development of hiragana and katakana.
Right.
So these are the phonetic alphabets that are still used in written Japanese today.
And just to remind people...
Yeah, before that...
They were
primarily using Chinese characters.
Right.
Which are very complex.
Yeah.
So this was a major innovation.
And this was all happening during the Heian period.
This is all happening during the Heian period.
Wow.
So it made writing more accessible and led to this flowering of literature.
Right. And this is when we get the Tale of Genji.
Exactly. Yeah. The Tale of Genji.
Which is like often called the world's first novel.
Yeah. It's often considered the world's first novel written by a lady, Murasaki Shikibu.
What's that book about?
So it gives us this glimpse into the lives and loves of the Heian aristocracy.
Okay, so it's kind of like a window into that world.
Exactly. Yeah, it's full of intrigue and romance and social commentary.
I can see why it's still set today.
It's a masterpiece.
So going back to those lords, though.
Yeah.
Did they care about all this, you know... cultural stuff going on at court?
Some of them probably dabbled in the arts.
Yeah.
You know, a little calligraphy here.
Their main...
little poetry there.
The focus was on power.
But yeah, their main focus was on maintaining and expanding their power. I remember these guys had armies to equip.
Right.
They had territories to defend.
They were busy.
It was a different world. It was a world of pragmatism and military strategy.
So not so much.
Not so much the refined world of the court.
Yeah. So are you saying that beneath the surface of this, like, golden age?
I think there were a lot of tensions
there was
simmering under the surface.
Of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, you know, these powerful lords looking at the court and maybe feeling a bit resentful of all this extravagance. And, you know, and then the court in turn might be looking down on the lords as being uncultured.
Yeah. So you've got this
kind of recipe for conflict.
Yeah, it's a recipe for conflict.
And I'm guessing that eventually,
and indeed,
in later periods, these tensions do boil over. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been a really fascinating look.
It's a
I think at the Heian period.
Fascinating period.
Yeah. I think what I'm taking away from this is that, you know, it's easy to kind of romanticize this era.
And get caught up in the beauty.
But like you were saying, there's a lot.
There's a lot more going on.
More going on under the surface.
Under the surface, yeah.
So we had these powerful lords.
Yeah.
Who were kind of
their own agenda.
Gaining power through this Shuan system.
That's right.
And then you've got this cultural boom at the imperial court.
At the same time.
But the two weren't necessarily...
Yeah, they're intertwined, but they're also in tension.
So I guess to leave our listeners with something to think about.
I like it.
You know, if the Heian period is considered this golden age, what might have been the downsides, right?
That's a good question.
Was there a price to pay for all this beauty and refinement?
Absolutely. Yeah, were there, you know, hidden tensions and resentments?
I think that's something that's worth
I think that's a great
exploring further.
So yeah, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Into the Heian period.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.